You're listening to The Morning Takeover with Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Breaking news, current events, and trending stories on The Morning Takeover at 9. Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc are dominating the airways with The Morning Takeover on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Would you like to advertise your business on the radio? We're seeking sponsors for The Morning Takeover. Space is limited, so act now. Send an email to morningtakeoverjw@gmail.com for more information. You're listening to The Morning Takeover with Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. And good morning, everyone. You are listening to The Morning Takeover on 92.7 WKRA FM with JamesMc and Wisdom's Daughter. We are in the building and we have an amazing show for all of you today. Want to first greet everyone that is listening and those of you who are joining us via social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube. So first, before we get into these stories, because we got a lot to talk about, Diddy can't stay out of the news, but now his mom is in the news for a different reason. Clarence Thomas is being exposed, and we're going to talk about why Trump's sentencing was postponed, all these stories and more. But first, we've got James with the weather and some local stories. James in the building. Take it away, James.
Why, good morning. It's Friday, Wisdom. What do you think about that? We made it through another week.
It's Friday, and I'm celebrating this Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
I
Woo,
tell you,
Lord, thank God.
it is. I tell you, it's been a good week though. But hey, we look forward to the weekend. It'll give us a chance to recharge our batteries and all. Good morning to everyone that's with us this morning. We're so glad to have you on 92.7 FM WKRA. We're here on the morning takeover. Just wanted to just say good morning to a couple of people. To Sheree and Twintopia, we'll be getting an update on their efforts to rebuild the Twins building. There's some good things that are going to come out of everything. I want to thank everybody for their support that they gave. Let's say hey to Miss Sharon Reed in Illinois, Bernadine Calderon. We're going to say good morning to her, to Tasha Williams down there in Marks, Mississippi, to Karen Cox, to Trisha Henderson in Memphis, Sister to Sister organization, to Sean in the western suburbs of Chicago. My brother, he told me to say hello. Hey, Lee McClellan, one of the greatest. He's one of the great up and coming comics. You might hear something from him one day, I guess. And we just like to say hello to Kim DeWin in Louisiana. We like to say hello to you also, and to all of you that are listening. It is just wonderful opportunity just to come to you. Listen, it is going to be hot this weekend, Wisdom. I don't know, this heat and things, sometimes it turns on, we get a storm, sometimes it turns off, we get this and that. But uh, this weekend will be one of our hot. It's going to be really, really warm and hot. Starting today, this into the weekend, uh, it's going to be real summer-like weather. We're getting ready to go back into the heat, y'all. It's going to be sunny and hot with the highs in the mid 90s starting out in our region, with heat index values are likely going to go up to about 100 degrees. Heat advisories may be necessary by Sunday, and the heat will continue through all the week and coming into next week. Slow down, listen to your body. Uh, Help your body battle the heat by drinking plenty of water, stay hydrated, stay in the shade or in the air conditioning. You see, certain workers do have to work in the heat. Your postal carrier, your your trash collectors, and people that work outside. If you see somebody outside and you got a bottle of water and you see that they're working, your meter maid or something like that, that checks your utilities, we want you to we want you to be able to keep yourself together. Watch out for your pets, and don't forget about leaving extra water out for them. And just be safe. Enjoy yourself for those Friday night activities that you're going to have in the Mid South. It's really going to be nice. Right now in Oxford, it's 72. Olive Branch is 71, and at WKRA 92.7 FM in Holly Springs and Memphis, Shelby County area, it is 72. And continue to look out for your loved ones during this heat. I have, there's a disturbing uh, story that I received, and it bothered me, Wisdom, about children. Again, here we go. You know, we had this terrible storm that came through. All of
Yes,
it is,
sir.
is, is God's work. It's a terrible storm that we had with Beryl. Well, in Lake Charles, Louisiana, there's a situation that happened with two kids. The mother of these children did not report them missing. They were missing. They found the two children's uh, one child's body was in the shallow water and one was alongside the road. Let me give you the details. It's
Oh
really
my goodness.
I mean, it really tore my heart.
Oh
Really
my
tore my
goodness.
heart out. Out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, it says the Lake Charles woman was arrested after the body of a 4-year-old was found in the water, and a 1-year-old baby was found alive in a ditch. Uh, the parish sheriff's deputies said that they spotted the 4-year-old boy in choppy water and on Monday with no obvious signs of trauma and no family looking for him. This is where it's going to get really deep. It says that deputies say that they managed to get in touch with a family member who identified the boy and said that he was last seen with his mother and a 1-year-old brother. That's what the relative had said. On Tuesday morning, authorities they had began a search for the baby when 911 calls came in, and the sheriff's department was able to find the 1-year-old alive in a ditch. God help us. And
Wow. Mm.
we're looking at this 1-year-old as a miracle baby, as one of the sheriff deputies said, and it's a miracle that that baby is still alive. And just was they was just visibly moved by what was going on. Now the mother, um, Aaliyah Jack, 25, was arrested. Guess where? Not in Louisiana, in Mississippi. I have heard a lot of things, and you hear a lot of things being a reporter and in broadcasting and doing what we do. That it made me really cringe when I heard that. When I heard this, here this child, they find this child in the water, and the child's brother was on the road. The 1 year was on the road. Now the relatives say that they were together. They was with the mother, and the 1 year. You know, last time we seen the baby, they was with the 1-year-old brother and the mother. What did this
Mhm.
mother do? Uh, you know, and I hate to, and of course we got that trigger warning up. We got it up, y'all. Um, because I don't usually like to discuss things like this, but this is news. Something is happening in our community, even in our world, where the
With these
disregard of a
moms.
child, yeah, with the mom, and it's sad, the disregard that they have for I mean, you left your baby, just left, and didn't tell nobody. You didn't have any trouble. Was it the wind? Did your house blow down? Y'all got out. How did your baby? One of them is in the water, and the one is on the side of the road where this particular water is. And if anybody knows, I watch the alligator thing on television when they hunt alligators down in Louisiana and down in Texas. And I'm
Hmm.
saying to myself, all the wildlife that's around water, especially. It's amazing that even the the tragedy of this child being unalive and the one that's living that they were taking care of. You know something? I'll say this, and I mean this, wisdom. God watches out for the children,
He does.
and my
He
mother
does.
say crazy people. too. I mean, but this is this is sad. It's sad, and then it gets you to a point not to start your morning off like this. We really
Yeah,
got to really look at what's
reported.
really going on. Yeah,
You
come,
know,
it's
the fact that she didn't report it is really disturbing. But here's something to think about. I don't know if it's that in terms of just the fact that media spreads so fast and we're able to get these stories. I don't know if these things were already happening over the last few decades or so, but I'm starting to wonder if the long-term effects of COVID are starting to manifest, because what we're beginning to see more and more frequently are signs, very clear signs of mental health across various communities. And this has nothing to do with race. We're seeing it, of course, a lot in the Black community. And I, pretty much see that as because in the Black community, mental health has always existed, but we didn't talk about it, right? You didn't talk about, your child that had, mental that was mentally delayed. We called it mental retardation back then. You didn't want to talk. That's my cousin. My cousin is just slow. That's my daughter. My daughter is just special. But I'm just wondering if it is this a result of the pandemic, or is it that, again, because news is traveling so fast, we're beginning to hear about those stories? I mean, yesterday we talked about the woman who left her child with someone she just met by the swimming pool and says, okay, watch my son, I'm going to go take a bath. And this guy that she just met says, okay, I'm going to take him out to play and scare him a little bit, whatever that means. And what that meant was him dropping the child headfirst off of the hotel balcony. I don't know how far the balcony was to the ground, but the child did survive. He, of course, is suffering from head injury. But I don't know what's happening with the moms. Is there a underlining mental health crisis that is being ignored, or that is not hasn't really been the focus? James asked a great question. What is happening with these moms? Is it a mental health crisis that we need to start looking at, that is manifesting somehow? We don't know what the long-term effects are of C-19. We don't know. It's going to take some time, but what we are seeing is just an overwhelming just an overwhelming examples and just stories like this of moms and dads and people who are seemingly to be engaging in behaviors that is indicative of some type of a mental health issue. One of our
Do
listeners
you
said,
really? But do you think that before you get to your listener, before I mean, do you really think that it's C-19 related somehow, or is that are we giving them a way out to say, well, people, these are babies, and you running from the hurricane, but you left your two children and went to Mississippi, and the I mean, you're 25 years old. I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. It's really
is it
disturbing.
that
Go
these
ahead.
moms
Go ahead.
is it that
Yeah.
these young moms just don't wanna be moms? We didn't talk about it, but you had another story of a young mom who, gave birth, and she cut the cord herself. She didn't secure the cord, and unfortunately, the baby, lost their life due to, blood loss. And again, trigger warning, she tossed the child out the window, and the child was found on a concrete sidewalk. I don't need to elaborate. So again, this was I believe, a 17-year-old mom. I don't know what's happening with these young moms, but I think that there needs to be more discussions about it. We don't know what the long-term effects are of C-19. As one of our listeners said, you might have a point. Could it be the result of C-19 on our brains? We don't know, but what is clear is that mental health crisis is existing, and it is coming out in full force and manifesting in so many ways. And I don't believe that there's enough talk about it. I don't believe that there's enough support. I know in the Black community, primarily, these things are taboo. As I said, we didn't talk about it. Oh, that's my cousin, she's just special. Or this is my daughter, and we call it mentally challenged or mentally disabled. Back then we called it mental retardation. But I don't think there are enough conversations about it. Is it social media? Is
Yeah.
constant exposure to social media having an impact on our brains somehow? don't know, but I just can't understand how you go through a storm and your children are missing, you don't report it, and you're found doing God knows what in another state, living your best life. I just,
And
I
it's
don't understand it.
yeah, and it's really shocking to me. Where's her support system? Is there anybody there that saw signs of anything? I mean, I'm not saying you should look at your relatives at the family reunion and look at them crossways, say, well, is something wrong with you or something wrong with you? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if this shouldn't have this I wish that this had never happened.
Yes.
And of course, we all do. When you hear something like this now, not just one child. I seen the two together, as the relative was saying. I seen the both, the 4 year old and the 1 year old and the mother. And now all of a sudden the mother gets picked up in Mississippi, far away from St. Charles, Louisiana, and just left those. I mean, what? I just I can't get my head wrapped around it. What would possess a mother wisdom? I'm a man. I don't have children or anything, and I'm not saying that that's a bad or whatever. But I can't see. I think about my own mom. God, I think I'm just saying. I'm glad I was born when I was, and it's just really disturbing. And um, our thoughts and our sincere condolences and prayers to the family that has to deal with this situation. It's the after effect. What are they going to say? What's going to be said? What is some kind of there's some mental going on there. I think that's really surprising to me, and it's a heartbreaker. It really is a heartbreaker. It really is.
Absolutely. It is. Well, we are going to
Wow.
continue praying for this family, this young mom, and hopefully she
Yeah.
will get the help that she needs. Now, that's not the only mom that's in the news as of late. uh Diddy has been in the news, as we've said, as we've been talking about it for a number of things and even more recent allegations, but now his mom is in the news for a different reason. So apparently Diddy's mom was hospitalized due to a health scare linked to stress that they're saying was caused by his legal drama. So Diddy's mother, Janice Combs, has been admitted to a Florida hospital for monitoring amid a health scare. Now, this report is according to TMZ. They broke the story. And so, what she's saying is that she was rushed in on this past Wednesday, actually, after experiencing pains in her chest. And chest pain is no joke, and so it's definitely not something to be ignored. So I am definitely happy to hear that she did not hesitate to go and get the care that she needed. Now, there's been no official ruling as to why just yet, but she reportedly believes that it's due to stress from her son's mounting legal issues. And I guess so. Diddy's mom is not that young. And so I can only imagine what she must be going through, having to uh live her life day to day, knowing what her son is accused of, and the accusations just keep coming. And so, not surprised that she ended up in the hospital. So doctors are keeping her for observation another night for testing and so forth. And Diddy is said to be by her side. He's her comfort in this, a source told TMZ. And his mom has been spending time with her son in Miami in the months since his homes in Miami and Los Angeles were raided by federal authorities. And so we reported earlier this week that Diddy is attempting to sell his Los Angeles mansion in an off market sale for a record $70 million. Now, this news again comes one day after Diddy received a scathing message from Cassie's lawyer when he was spotted enjoying some fun time on the water amid his legal troubles. The embattled Bad Boy Records founder was seen, and not just seen, because he posted these pictures. He actually had a cameraman vacationing in Wyoming earlier this month and was filmed whitewater rafting with his friends. And so Diddy is not pressed about this case. The move most likely angered Cassie's attorney, Douglas Wigner, because he came forward and made it very clear. But even though the singer settled the SA lawsuit against Diddy a day after it was filed in November, she's not standing down. And her lawyer basically said, I don't think whitewater rafting will prepare him for the choppy waters that lie ahead. And just a reminder, the adult film star Audrey English recently sued Diddy for S trafficking and a number of other allegations, and also criticized the mogul for seemingly living it up amid the legal drama. And so all this is having an effect on Diddy's mom and on her health. And again, I imagine so. People are looking at her, people are commenting and saying, what kind of mother? What is she doing? What is she saying about this? Um,
Wow.
there's been, some criticism, not a whole lot, but there's been some criticism against the mom, especially when pictures like this surface, on social media. And
Is
so,
that his? That's his mom. That's his mom.
that's Diddy's
Wow.
mom. Here's another picture. That's the
Okay.
mom. Okay, she's looking a little risque in this picture over here at an
Have
MTV
mercy.
event. But
See.
that's Diddy's mom. And here's the thing. I don't know if people realize that everything you do has an equal and opposite effect. It affects other people. It's not just about you. What he's accused of and this whole legal battle, it's going to affect his kids. It's already affected his businesses and his business relationships, his friendships, but now it's affecting his family. And so we don't know for sure, but the mom is saying, "Listen, I've been stressed out about what's going on with my son, and
Yeah.
that's what's caused me to have chest pains. And chest pains typically are a sign that your heart is not functioning. So she's got something going on. It could be anything from high blood pressure to potentially a stroke. And that's things that we don't talk about. Women do have
Yeah.
strokes. And the signs and symptoms are not necessarily the same as we've seen in men. I
But
said what I said, left a comment. She says, I believe some people have kids for various reasons and not always for good intentions. Sometimes they have to keep the dad around, and this is not anything new, referring to the story that we just talked about. And another listener said that there is a severe shortage of behavioral health services as a part of our healthcare system. Again, referring back to the previous story. And so, yeah, so we'll stay on top of the story and find out
please
how
do.
Diddy's mom is doing when she gets out. But again, I
And
think
let,
Diddy needs to understand that what he's going through is affecting the woman that we know that he loves. Absolutely.
well, let me say this though before you go to break. Y'all stop. We got people. Are you listening? I hope you hear me. Don't give your mother stress. Okay. Do not be trying. I mean, we don't. I feel for parents, those of you, wisdom, and everybody that has children, and people that are dealing with nieces and nephews and things like that. These now imagine the little kids. They give you, they have your hair standing on your head. Hear this, and I know she's proud of her son. I'm not bashing her or anything like that. I would never do that. And I know that the stress and strain that could be coming along, not knowing what your child or what's going to happen or whatever. But this lady is a social media sensation. What is social media doing? That we got to do something on that one day. See what's really going. I like social media. It's good. I have a lot of friends, people that I know and care about and love. Some I don't. That come on and creep around and look and things like that. But it's a good tool. But something is going on somewhere, and I think we need to maybe delve into that one day, though. But we're
Absolutely.
praying for Diddy's
We
mama.
are. Absolutely. And don't forget about Diddy himself. Diddy also needs much prayer. One of our listeners said some of the ways we men can worry our mothers, asking moms not to cry or worry doesn't work. Mom can't help herself. And so, yeah, just we're going to keep this family lifted in prayer. They're going to need it. Diddy's going to need prayers. He's also going to need money and quite a lot of it. And so, all right. So we've got some more for you after this break, and we will be right back. You're listening to The Morning Takeover with Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Breaking news, current events, and trending stories on The Morning Takeover at 9. Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc are dominating the airways with The Morning Takeover on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Would you like to advertise your business on the radio? We're seeking sponsors for The Morning Takeover. Space is limited, so act now. Send an email to morningtakeoverjw@gmail.com for more information. You're listening to The Morning Takeover with Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Butters and Black Soap offers high-quality, handcrafted butters, black soaps, and oils made with all-natural ingredients that improve the appearance of hair, skin, and nails. Try Butters and Black Soap's amazing collection of African black soaps sourced from Ghana and infused with ingredients such as turmeric, oatmeal, sea moss, coconut milk, activated charcoal, and more to promote healthy-looking skin. Say goodbye to dry, cracked skin with the Sea Moss Body Cream by Butters and Black Soaps. This non-greasy formula will leave your skin soft and supple. If you want to achieve a natural, healthy glow, try one of their whipped shea butters. Indulge in the luxurious feel of African black soaps and more by Butters and Black Soap. Shop now at www.butters_blacksoap.com. Use custom code WISDOM for a 15% discount. Shop now. You're listening to The Morning Takeover with Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Breaking news, current events, and trending stories on The Morning Takeover at 9. And we are back. You're listening to The Morning Takeover on 92.7 WKRA FM with JamesMc. I am Wisdom's Daughter. Shout out to Butters and Black Soaps. Their products are absolutely amazing. I use them. My son used them. As a matter of fact, he's been having some issues with acne. And I hurried up and used some of that Butters and Black Soaps on his face, and it started clearing up already. So their products do work. Check them out at buttersandblacksoap.com. And in other news, we've got to talk about someone who has recently been exposed, and that would be none other than Clarence Thomas. So apparently Clarence Thomas accepted a free yacht trip to Russia and got flown out on a complimentary helicopter ride to Putin's hometown, according to two Democratic senators. They're accusing Justice Clarence Thomas of accepting undisclosed gifts and trips. They say that he accepted these gifts again, including a yacht trip to Russia and a chopper ride to Vladimir Putin's hometown, because that's not suspicious at all. And the senators say they want an investigation into potential tax fraud and ties to Thomas and Harlan Crow. And so James actually has more on this story. James?
Well, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat of New York, has officially filed articles of impeachment in the House against Supreme Court Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. And as you alluded to, the articles are largely centered on the conduct of the justices outside of their court-related duties, and their related to their refusal to disclose them. They didn't tell anybody about these gifts, and I think that Clarence Thomas is the top gift receiver from outside influences. And according to the Congresswoman's office, their gifts, lobbyists that gave gifts. In Thomas's case, he failed to even disclose his wife's legal interests in cases that were being held before the court. As we know, according to the recent developments, Justice Thomas, Justice Alito seem to be the dynamic duo of the Supreme Court. They know some of the same people. Harlan Crow, who is the lobbyist, the Republican and conservative fundraiser, have close ties to Thomas, business trips, boat rides, yacht rides. Let me not call it a boat. It's a yacht. There's a difference. They say it ain't a little dinghy. He was on the rich man's yacht, flying over, as you say, to Vladimir Putin's hometown. Now, what are you doing there? My thing is, what are you doing over there? And you're a Supreme Court justice. What's over there? Do you mean the fishing and the hunting is no good here in the United States? You had to go way over there to Russia. They told us also that they have the problem. There are several problems that are coming in with cases that the justices are hearing. They say that Mr. Thomas's wife is connected to the Heritage Foundation. Those of you that know and have heard about the Heritage Foundation, you know that they're the main backers of that horrific and horrendous publication called Project 2025. Well, his wife, Alito, who is another justice, that he displayed certain flags outside of his house, like the "Give Me Liberty" or "Give Me Unalivement." He also had some other symbols that was flying outside of his house. And when asked about these flags and these symbols, they were saying that this is their heritage. This is what they believe. This is what Justice Alito's wife was alluding to. But to look deeper into this, I have not known in recent history that any Supreme Court justice had been. I got to really dig in and look up to see had they had anything like this come to this. They are subject to the impeachment process, like the president, and also with the dismissal of certain congresspersons. They have a mechanism in place. But impeachment is serious. This is a lifetime appointment that justices have. Justice Thomas and Alito, their repeated failures over the decades to disclose that they've received millions of dollars in gifts from individual businesses and people that are doing business with the court. Instead of recusing themselves, instead of stepping aside, they've ruled on some of these cases, and most of them in favor of those people that they have been benefactors. They're benefactors. And given the court's demonstration and their inability to preserve its own legitimate conduct, and it is incumbent upon Congress to step in. That's why I say that Congress has a responsibility to just don't vote for president, but go down the ballot. Know who you're sending to the House of Representatives and to the U.S. Senate, because it's going to be real important that these articles are actually, any congressperson can submit them. Articles of impeachment. They're going to announce later. I guess later in the month, they're going to ask the Attorney General Merrick Garland to appoint a special counsel to investigate the potential ethics and tax law violations. They got to pay taxes on this. Yeah, they getting all this free stuff and flying in helicopters and going to lavish trips and sitting down, smoking cigars and drinking good brandy and all those other things that they're doing. And, you come over here and you do this for me and I'll do this for you. And if you look at the history of the gifts that Justice Thomas alone has received, completely mortgaged and redid the house, that his childhood home, and deeded the property back over to the Thomases. That was his benefactor that did that. They said that one day they might turn it into a museum for Justice Thomas. I don't believe that, though, but that's wishful thinking. The trips, the money, the money that the funds that he had received from these benefactors, he paid his He paid a young man's college, one of his young relatives' college tuition, got him into school. So there are a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes. Every public official has to disclose any gifts up to a certain amount or whatever the case may be. But there's mechanisms in place that have to be adhered to. Also, Mr. Thomas knows how things go. He was head of a federal department. He was at EEOC, and all executives of in the branches of government, supervisors or government workers, it is against the ethics and it's against their employment to receive outside gifts and outside influences, because it could affect their decision making. It could affect the way that things are done. People may
It's a
not be
conflict of
getting the
interest.
fair. Yeah, it
It's like you said,
definitely is.
it's a conflict of interest. As you said, they're making
Yes,
decisions on things and ruling in favor of those who've given them gifts. One of our listeners said,
exactly.
amazing how one can toot his intelligence but claim ignorance to obligation to report extravagant
Hmm.
gifts as income. Justice Marshall told us that bad people come in all colors. This is really serious,
Exactly.
okay? Because as you
Yes.
said, this letter details 35 undisclosed gifts, including the yacht trip to Russia and the Baltics,
Yes.
and a helicopter ride
Yes.
to Yusupov Palace in St. Petersburg. Now, this was listed under the
Wow.
year of 2003. Now,
Yes.
St. Petersburg, Russia is Putin's birthplace. This is where he grew up. Now he resides in Moscow now, but he grew up in St. Petersburg, and that is where again Clarence Thomas had an undisclosed helicopter ride to the palace there. So he can't really claim that he wasn't going to visit. As one of our other listeners said, what is a Supreme Court justice, and specifically you, Clarence Thomas, what are you doing in Russia? Additionally, the report said that apart from the Russia trip, that Harlan Crow also funded Thomas's grandnephew, Mark Martin's boarding school fees, which cost more than $6,000 a month. Now, in their letter, the senators wrote that other gifts from Crow included multiple instances of free private jet travel, yacht travel, and lodging, as well as gifts of tuition, again, for Justice Thomas's grandnephew, quote unquote, real estate transactions, quote unquote, home renovations, and quote unquote, free rent for Justice Thomas's mother. I don't think
But
any of
then
this
you know
is
the big problem comes in at wisdom is the facts that you're laying out right now. He's
he didn't
doing all
disclose
of
it.
these
He
things
didn't
now.
mention it.
He didn't report any of it. Now
Right.
all this
Why?
time that Clarence Thomas has been in that position, I'm sure somebody had to tell him, wait a minute, Judge, Your Honor, there are certain things there are certain financial disclosures that you have to do. You can't accept this, you can't accept that, you can't go here.
He
Judges
knows
have a
that.
different standards. Yeah,
He
he know it
knows
already, but
that.
he said, oh, I forgot. How you gonna forget
Yeah,
over all these years to tell you went on a helicopter
look,
ride and you
he
got
didn't
a
forget
couple
to
of
accept it.
million?
He didn't forget to
Yeah,
accept it. None of these gifts,
but
as
he sure
Yvonne,
got it. That's
yeah,
true.
one of our listeners
Yeah,
said none of these gifts he received can be deemed as official business for the United States, right?
no,
And so,
can't be.
here's the thing. I have to give it to the Republicans because when they see something wrong on the other side, they go in, they go hard or go home. All right. Where is the outcry? Where is the outrage? Yes, we're talking about an article of impeachment that was filed by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York against Thomas and Justice Samuel Alito, both of them. Again, citing their repeated failure over decades. This is not something that just happened, over decades, to disclose that they received millions of
Yes.
dollars in gifts. And so when we talk about, the previous Trump administration and, Russia interference into the election, well, guess what? It was already happening even before then. The Supreme Court
Of course it was.
evidently, SCOTUS is crooked. We've got crooks in
Yes.
SCOTUS.
Well, we know
So what is going to
well,
be
he's
done
crook.
about
He's the head crook. Look at what he has done. Look at what his buddy over that was head of the administration before
it?
President Biden. Across the street, Wisdom, is a beautiful grand building that used to be the main post office for that area or for Washington, D.C. Real elegant building, really great. um, Donald Trump, he bought it, and or with him and some people, they got together and they bought it and turned it into a Trump International. Now he's not supposed to receive anything outside of his salary, and he pays for his own food or the different things that he has to do. But any business interest, any financial interest, any interest outside of what he's doing is supposed to be put in trust. He said he did this, but all along he was directing, and like the testimony has been given, that he has been behind the scenes running things, and
Behind the
his
scene
children,
lying.
well, you know, he's lying too. Here's his son-in-law. He gets $2 billion from the Saudis. Okay, it ain't alleged; it's the truth. He got business. His Treasury Secretary, his Agriculture Secretary, which means a lot down here in the Mid South and in the agriculture belt that we have here. He was in charge of all of those. Purdue, that's what it is. Y'all know who Purdue is, the chicken man. Um, he regulated things, deregulated things, and they've been getting over, and everybody's been leaving with a bag except the American people. They're saying that we got to pay more taxes, we got to do this, we got to do that. It's always the taxpayer, there's always the working person that has to take up the slack of these grifters and these robbers and these people that are doing the things that they have no business doing, Wisdom.
Well, I mean, the truth is there are people out there that know that there are those in the Supreme Court who can be bought. Okay. Um, Alice, blessed child of God, said, I'm old enough to remember when the Supreme Court was respected. Today, that seems like such a long time ago. And she also said that that referring to Clarence Thomas, that he has not recused himself from cases involving these people who are funding his lifestyle. And so my question is this, okay, riddle me this. If Donald Trump can be indicted and then found guilty on 34 counts felony charges for for his business practices and for, writing checks and saying it's for one thing, it was really for something else, for financial fraud and business fraud, then why can't Clarence Thomas be brought up on charges for accepting monetary gifts and ultimately bribes? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Let's use that word. He accepted what it seemingly, okay, bribes. That's what it sounds like to me. And that, to my knowledge, is a crime. So is it possible for him to be brought up on charges? Can they bring him up on charges for that? That's what I want to know. James, we can't hear you.
I think that because of the situation that's happening, impeachment is the way to go. There can be total removal from office. There can be some kind of reprimand. Not with this particular Congress. It's not going to. You got to get it out of unless you get a majority vote in the House. I'm sure that there's senators that are there. This is disturbing, just like the overall immunity that's being that this court has given to this. Why this president? What in the world is this person, this former president, and you're anticipating him coming back in, and you have this level of corruption? We thinking about Biden being tired. We got to go back and get our money, because why? This man has sat there, lied, cheat, stole. Him and his partners and his friends and all these people, they're doing what they do, and it's really just disturbing to me, Wisdom, that people are going for it. These are the people that we want in office. You would have never heard of. You hardly ever heard from a Supreme Court justice. You don't see them out. They're not at the fundraisers and at the parties or nothing like that. You don't see them until it's the State of the Union or a big case. You might see pictures of them and drawings, but we rarely had an opportunity to see them. They're really on the spotlight now. And I think
because they're being exposed. That's what's happening. They are being.
Well, the Congresswoman has the right idea. Yeah, what you say that?
They're being exposed, but they're getting away with it. And what, James? What's today's date? What's today's date? What the day is? What the date is?
Today is the 12th of July.
Okay,
Is it a
so
national
today,
holiday or something? Oh,
no,
okay.
it seems to me that there was something that was supposed to happen either on yesterday or the day before. Wasn't Donald Trump
Mm.
on July 11th or
He
July
was,
6th?
he was, he was. It's been
What
delayed. It has been delayed. Somebody's doing some trickery somewhere. I,
happened?
I, I don't have the details of why the judge in New York, in your
Oh, don't
your
worry, I
beloved New
got him.
York.
Don't worry, I got him
What's
because you
going
already
on with
know.
your judge? Your judge was
James,
acting right, wisdom, and now he didn't
James,
got him some Clarence Thomas juice in him. What? Go ahead.
listen, don't you know when a black
Yeah,
woman asks you
listen.
a question, it's because she already know the answer.
I
No,
don't
I ain't
know
got
what
no
is the
story.
answer.
No, I got the story.
What's the
We're
answer?
gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about why
Okay.
Donald Trump was not sentenced this week as he was supposed
Yeah.
to be. But first, we got to take a break and pay
Okay.
some bills. All right, James.
Let's do that. Let's do
Let's
that.
take a
Listen,
break.
you're listening to
We're gonna come back.
92.7 on your FM dial with Wisdom's daughter and JamesMc. We got a lively discussion here. Also in the chat, for those of our listeners that are viewing us on YouTube, we want to allow you to come in. We have the link to chat. We want to hear what you have to say. Wisdom's gonna come back with some. She's gonna tell me about this. You got to explain about your judge and some other things that we're going to be talking about. You're on the morning takeover with Wisdom and James, and we're going to be back in just a little bit. Y'all stay right there. We ain't going to be long. Go ahead now. We ain't going to be long.
Wisdom's daughter and James Mack are dominating the airways with the morning takeover on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Would you like to advertise your business on the radio? We're seeking sponsors for the morning takeover. Space is limited, so act now. Send an email to morningtakeoverjw@gmail.com for more information. You're listening to The Morning Takeover with Wisdom's daughter and James Mack on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration.
Yes. And we are back again. We really want to thank all of you that support us. We like to also encourage you, those of you that have a business, have a service, have anything that you like to offer the public that you have been offering to the public, and you like to get that message out that you're doing what you're doing. Listen, go to Morning Takeover JW at gmail.com and drop us some information how to so that we can contact you about advertising on the morning takeover. And we just so happy that our listeners and our viewers are here with us. We welcome you. We ask that you spread the word. The morning is being taken over by James and Wisdom every day from 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, for those of our wonderful people that are listening on the East Coast. Hello to everybody. And it's really great just to be alive. Like I said, you all watch this weather. We're going to be in the high 90s, and there is going to be a heat advisory more than likely by tomorrow. Hey, Wisdom, you go right into, as we were saying about your judge up there, or your people's judge up there in your state that you know so much about and love.
Listen,
That this judge, what's up with your judge, Wisdom? Come
we
on now, you explain yourself. Explain
listen.
yourself.
Judge Mershon is in the doghouse. Okay, I put Judge Mershon. And listen, when I was growing up, there was a woman that lived on my street who babysat all the kids on the block. And whenever I would go to her house, in her little dining area above the table, she had a Snoopy. Remember Snoopy? She had a white and red Snoopy doghouse, and it had little miniature Snoopies with a little hook on it. It had different names. And so when you was in the doghouse, you took the little hook, you put it in the doghouse, right? So Judge Mershon, you are in the doghouse as far as I'm concerned, because so ultimately Judge Mershon has made the decision to postpone the hearing and the sentencing of Donald Trump for his conviction of the 34 felonies for falsifying business records. So here's the deal, because again, the question was why. So let's talk about it. So when former president, okay, because I have to say former president, okay, or as one of our listeners likes to say all the time, the convicted felon, right? When the former president Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felonies for falsifying business records by a Manhattan jury in May, Judge Merchan set his sentencing for July 11th. Now, the sentencing was slated to occur just days before the beginning of the 2024 Republican National Convention, where Trump is expected to be officially selected as the party's presidential nominee. However, in the wake of an unprecedented Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity, declaring that Trump is at least partially immune from crimes he committed while in office, Judge Merchan delayed the former president's sentencing, hence why he's in the doghouse. And he basically is saying that after he hears arguments from both Trump's legal team, and we're going to, I'll be discussing in a minute what they have said and what they've done. But once he hears arguments from Trump's legal team and the prosecuting attorneys in the case, Merchan is expected to make a ruling about whether the conviction can stand in the light of the Supreme Court's decision. So the new sentencing date is currently set for September 18th, less than 2 months before the November 5th general election. Again, Trump faces sentencing on 34 felony convictions that carry a 4-year maximum prison sentence, but no minimum sentence. There's the key. So here's what's going on. I said earlier that I have to give it to the Republicans because when they go for anything, they go hard or go home, and they are most definitely going hard. So basically, Trump is trying to argue that the New York conviction must be vacated because of the Supreme Court immunity decision. We talked about this a little bit when we ran that story initially, when the story first broke, about giving past, current, and future presidents absolute immunity, ultimately making the president a king. And I said, they're up to something. Something's going on, because why would they do this right before the election? So here it is. Donald Trump has urged, and this is according to CNN, Donald Trump is urging the judge in his New York hush money case to dismiss his conviction in light of the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity last month, according to a new court filing. Donald Trump's lawyers argued in a 55-page filing that the jury's guilty verdict should be vacated because the district attorney's office relied on evidence at trial related to Trump's official acts as president. Not really, but remember, we talked about this. Now that he has immunity, everything is going to be an official act, right? If he decides that Biden is getting on his nerves and he wants to take out his adversary, he's going to call that an official act and claim that Biden was a threat to national security. Again, that's just a hypothetical example. And so basically, Trump is saying that they relied on evidence related to Trump's official acts as president because they are taking this immunity thing and running with it. Trump's lawyers asserted that this evidence should not have been permitted in light, again, of the Supreme Court's recent immunity decision, quote unquote, in order to vindicate the presidential immunity doctrine and protect the interests implicated by its underpinnings. The jury's verdicts must be vacated and the indictment dismissed. This is what Trump's attorneys wrote to Judge Juan Merchan. The Manhattan District Attorney violated the presidential immunity doctrine. And now, interestingly enough, they violated the presidential immunity doctrine, but when they did all this, that doctrine didn't even exist. But now, after the fact, they're saying, whoa, they violated the presidential immunity doctrine and the supremacy clause by relying on evidence relating to President Trump's official acts in 2017 and 2018 to unfairly prejudice. Now, they're calling him President Trump, not former. Okay? I'm reading this quote unquote. The Manhattan DA violated the presidential immunity doctrine and the supremacy clause by relying on evidence related to President Trump's official acts in 2017 and 2018 to unfairly prejudice President Trump in this unprecedented and unfounded prosecution relating to purported business records. This is what his attorneys wrote. Much of the unconstitutional official acts evidence concerned actions pursuant to quote unquote core executive power for which absolute immunity applies. So, what they're trying to do is take something that was put into place after this ruling, after Trump was found guilty, and say, well, whoa, whoa, whoa. Now you have to dismiss this because they brought in evidence back then that violates something that was just put into place months after. This is absolutely insane. I knew that Trump was going to do this. They're calling him President Trump because they really truly believe that he's going to win. We don't know who's going to win. We don't know. The race is not over. It hasn't even begun. Now, interestingly enough, again, Marshawn postponed Trump's sentencing to allow Trump to file his motion to dismiss the guilty verdict. Listen to this. The district attorney's office will respond later this month, and Judge Marshawn said he will decide the matter in September with a potential, hear what I'm saying, with a potential sentencing scheduled on September 18 if necessary. If necessary.
Wow.
Because he's already, I guess, in their mind, they're already determining that, he's probably going to end up dismissing it because I could look at both sides of this. I can say, well, the if necessary is because if Trump's people bring enough evidence to show that the verdict should be overturned, then obviously the sentencing won't be necessary, or won't be necessary because he already knows what he's going to do. I don't know what's going on.
Can I ask you something? Okay, even with the decision this decision to convict him on all of these charges was done by a jury of his peers in a sovereign state of the United States of America. Okay, far from separated from the actual federal court system. I'm going to have to find out whether or not that's permissible, because he has to stand. I mean, this is a separate state. He can't escape from what they can get rid of it, or what?
It's permissible. Now, here's an interesting idea. One of our listeners said by delaying his sentencing, this could ensure that Trump has no opportunity of appealing his conviction before the November election. So Judge Marshawn could be playing chess. It's very possible that this is a chess move. I play chess. I love the game. I am not a chess master, but I love the game. My son beats me almost every single time, but every time is another opportunity to try to win. But anyway, this could potentially be a chess move. Whereas he's making it seem like he's being fair, because if Judge Marshawn was not going to be fair and not going to even act like he was going to consider this, you already know what the Republicans would say. They would be all over this. They would be claiming, it's rigged, fake news, it's rigged, because everything is rigged. So maybe this is
let me say this, that there's I got a little something that came to me and wanted to know what our opinion would be on what I'm about to say. I'm saying this, even though I know, and I'm an independent voter, and as we all say, we're going to be fair and impartial, which we try our best to be with what we've been, what's given to us a whole lot. The only way that Project 2025 and all these other things that have come up will be eliminated is you have to get out and make a decisive vote that, one, do you want a democracy or do you want a dictatorship? And you were saying something, if I heard you right, that and I wanted to see if you could, I'm pretty sure you'll clarify it, that people want to know whether or not that this decision is going to affect, or is it just that Judge Marshawn said, okay, the convention, which is coming up real soon in Milwaukee, I won't be there, but we'll be at the Democratic convention in Chicago. We were invited to go. The Republicans didn't get our letter about the Republican convention, but that's okay. What effect is this going to have Do you think people are jumping to conclusions and nervous because this man, he just had one debate, folks, and yes, he was tired. Uh, the former President Obama and all the other former presidents had bad nights. This was just one night, and now you're all trying to put him in the senior citizens home. And I just want to just eat, and break up that monotony right there to let people know you got to vote first. Don't think he's in there now. We have an opportunity to make some changes. Go ahead, Wisdom. I just
Yeah,
wanted you to elaborate this because people are scared. That people are
I don't
scared.
know.
They say, "Oh my
So,
God."
so here's the thing. It's not over until the fat lady sings, right? Sometimes you have to wait and to see what the end is going to be. We already
Right.
know ultimately that it's important that everybody vote, regardless of who you vote for. If you are a Trump supporter, go out and vote for Donald Trump. If you are supporting the Democrats, go out and vote for Biden. The point is vote. Let it be a fair fight, right? Don't back off. If Biden is going to win, he's going to win fairly. If Donald Trump is going to win, he's probably going to try to cheat, but ultimately we got to make sure that it's fair, right? The Republicans are doing the rigging. This is what one of our listeners said, doing the rigging and reflecting on others. Everything they are doing, they claim others are doing. So here's my thing. There's definitely things that have been happening where they're trying to steal the election in a way that is so, this is my opinion, this is Wisdom's daughter's opinion, that the Republicans are trying to steal the election in such a way, or if not steal the election, to make it advantageous for Donald Trump to win. Now, Biden's people did they made a mistake by having Biden at the first debate be there and be present, knowing that the man was sick, that his voice was tired, and that he was tired, mentally tired, everything else. I don't think that was a good idea. I think they would have been better off just postponing it, but they didn't. It is what it is. We've heard Biden a number of times since then. The man sounded good. He sounded strong. Okay, he spoke very well. He spoke out against the Supreme Court's decision, but it is done. The president is now king. Biden has stated that he is not going to take that power and just use it unresponsibly. He is still going to stick to the original Constitution. All right. In terms of this decision, maybe this is what Judge Mashan is doing, delaying the sentencing so that once Trump is sentenced, he wants to appear fair. That's why he said if, right? If it even is necessary, which hit me the wrong way, but I can look at it differently now because there is the possibility. If he delays the sentencing and then sentences Trump, Trump won't have time to appeal. Okay, so we'll all we can do is wait and see. But what I'm seeing is the trickery of the Supreme Court. First, we've got what's
I
going
thought
on. Clarence
Chicago was
Thomas.
bad. Y'all in New
Yeah,
y'all in New York just clowning and everything. Why y'all messing up? Y'all had love for your town, and
yeah.
your judge acting like this.
Well, the truth of the matter is he's the only one. He's the only one. So New York State is really the only one that has successfully gone after Trump. Georgia has been trying, but of course the Fani Willis situation, which that was supposed to be about Trump. Trump's people made it about Fani because that is what they do. It was nothing more than a distraction. And shout out to Penelope S. But yeah, so here's the thing. I don't feel that the Democrats are pushing enough. Whenever there are things done by the other side, there is no outrage, there is no outcry. There's a little bit of something, but they're always trying to play fair and by the book. One thing that the Democrats do is that they play nice in the sandbox. What the other side does is they flip the sandbox on its head and sand just goes everywhere. They don't play fair. This was strategic so I guess maybe they were hoping that Donald Trump would not be found guilty on those 34 counts. But once he was, one thing that Donald Trump and his team is good at is strategy. That is their strength. And so now, because he has his people who he put in the Supreme Court, including Clarence Thomas, who's now BFFs with his BFF Putin. Okay. So now the Supreme Court suddenly out the blue decides that the president can have presidential immunity for what they deem official presidential acts, which Donald Trump is going to claim everything he did, even though that hush money was given to Stormy Daniels before he was in the presidency, before he became president, before he got the election, stole the election, whatever you want to call it, right?
He was campaigning. He was getting ready to campaign. Yeah.
Right. He wasn't the president yet. Now, but the thing is, that's not what the case is about. The case is about the checks that Donald Trump wrote after he was in the presidency that he, mislabeled, or the business records that he falsified. So he's claiming that the business records that he falsified so basically what Donald Trump is saying is that falsifying business records is a presidential act. Are you kidding me? Now, you mentioned Project 2025 real quick. Are you aware that Donald Trump is now trying to distance himself from Project 2025? You notice he's not
we
saying
talked
Project
about that.
2025.
Yeah.
We've discussed it at length. It's a 900 plus page document. He's trying to distance himself from that. And I wonder why. Is it because he's trying to win over those people that are kind of in the middle, who are not Democrat or Republican? Though, because the number of what do we call them, James? I forgot. I'm drawing a blank. What do we call those that are not Republican or
they're independents?
Independents.
They're independents.
So there's quite a large number of independents there. There's a good number of votes that can be had. So why is he backing down from Project 2025? He should back down, but I'm just saying he's not backing off of it. That's his plan.
Well, I think that we're putting the heat on him. The heat is on. I mean, you got every one of our colleagues in media that are talking about it, and people are aware of it. These are the slick tricks that are going on in the debauchery and the politics. That's what I'm going to call it, from a politician that I heard say that's going to jail. I don't know why that person said that, but the politics, and not the politics, the politics that are going on. I'm here to say I really believe that the people of America, I may be wishful thinking because I don't know about New York. I got nerves. I ain't gonna talk about your town no more though. But I'm not gonna talk about them. But to see the craziness that's going on and the foolishness, I just believe the American people. Y'all stick with me now. I believe that people got enough sense to see. And as we continue to make you aware of the wrong, if it was the Democrats, I would say the same thing. That's some lunacy and some craziness going on. The thinking that these people have, the man is not in there, and he's not going. If we have anything to do with it, reasonable government that comes in, that's of the people, by the people, and for the people, even though we having a hard time getting there, wisdom. I think that I hope that I believe in the American people. In my heart, I believe that we'll be able to stop this foolishness that's getting ready to go on. We got a really serious look at this, folks. We're at a brinks. How many more months or weeks? We're almost at November. Wisdom.
I mean, you know what?
4 months, maybe 4.5 months.
We've got quite a few months to go, and a lot can happen in that time. Another listener said they believe there's too much focus on Biden's performance, that we need to focus on his accomplishments. I agree, because I believe that the public is truly unaware of all the things that Biden has accomplished. And maybe that's something that we can look at for one of the shows next week, where we can kind of highlight what Biden has accomplished, because there are a lot of people talking as if, and they're talking as if Biden didn't do anything. And I think that happens because, Trump is very good at stealing the spotlight. He's very dramatic. He's a clown. And when I say clown, I mean, funny. He's a funny guy. I mean, I'm sure he was laughing his ass off when it went through that the Supreme Court was going to, that they were successful in voting for presidential immunity, and they're obviously being paid off, and so he probably already knew that was going to happen. But I agree. There's a lot of highlight on Donald Trump's foolery and his foolishness, and not enough shine and light on what Biden has done. And I wish that in the campaign that they would focus a little bit more on that, rather than on the drama of how bad his performance was. We know that it was bad. Another listener said, if people vote and not against their own interests, Donald Trump will not be allowed in the White House again. Now, this listener brings up a really good point. I actually have some friends who are business owners, and they're like, listen, I'm voting for the man because it's good for business. It's good for business. I don't feel like the Democrats are really focused on business owners. And not to say that that's not the case, but Donald Trump touts that he's going to lower taxes for the rich and more business tax cuts. Trump is a businessman, and so a lot of business people will vote for him because he's a businessman. That is in their, according to their own selfish needs, as someone said, or their own interest. We can't tell people who to vote for. We're not telling people who to vote for, but we want you to look at the bigger picture here and don't be bamboozled, because what might seem like a personal interest for you could be the undoing of this entire country. Don't be fooled. Read Project Plan 2025. It's a 900-page document. If ever you're having some trouble sleeping, you got some insomnia, pick up that thing and read it. It is available.
No, that's a horror story. No, you
I'm
gonna
gonna
make the
I'm
people
gonna
have
put a link.
nightmares.
I'm
Wisdom.
gonna put a link.
You
I'm
go
going to put
ahead.
a link to Project 2025 because some of you have been having trouble finding it.
Okay.
I'm going to put a link to it in the description on YouTube. So if you're following us on YouTube at Your Man on the Street 1, that's where you can find it. Another listener said the hush money trial found Trump guilty and he's convicted of 34 felons. The Manhattan DA proved his case, and there is nothing Trump lawyers can do to prove his actions were official acts, but they're going to try. And that's the thing. They're strategists. They're going to push this thing to the limit. I don't believe it's going to work. I'm just going to be clear. I don't personally believe it's going to work, but they're definitely going to try. And again, this is just a wait and see. I said what I said, says the Dems need to come together. And if something happens to Biden, then Kamala can step in. And that is what she is there for. Amen and amen. And again, another listener, I am Mrs. Beebe, said, please be aware that the Supreme Court justices gave themselves more power with their immunity ruling as well, not just Trump. They are the only ones that will determine what is an official act or a private act. And if that is the case, then we're doomed. If that's the case, then, if Trump is able to appeal and it goes before the Supreme Court, they're going to conclude that, what he did in, again, falsifying business records, which is a crime, which is a felony. So now we're saying that felonies are presidential acts, or basically a president can commit a felony. And because he's president, he has immunity, can't do anything about it. So
Well, now
that
there's there
really
is a caveat. There is a caveat to that, because now this was before he was even in official office. He was running for president and came down the escalator and all that other stuff and fanfare that he had going on. He was running for the office. I think this excludes anything that even the Supreme Court cannot just come in and override. They could,
but
they,
they
like you said, they got powers that they can come in and say, well, this got to be overturned. It had nothing to do with the office of just he was running. Okay. And he did these things under New York law. He violated the law. If they do that, then they got to they better clear everybody's record. They better make sure take all the felonies off of
They
people
won't.
and stop blocking them from having jobs. Our young people, I was reading an article about young people trying to get a job. And some of these young people, as young as 13 and 14, 15 years old, got felonies on their records because of some things that they have done as juveniles. And this thing has followed them all this way. And I say that, hey, it's opening up a can of worms that we don't need. But wisdom, this is something. This is really something.
It is. Alice Busted Child of God said, any man who bankrupts casinos multiple times is not a businessman, or not a good businessman, let's just say. And yeah, let's be clear. Donald Trump has filed bankruptcy a number of times. His Taj Mahal went down. The Plaza Hotel closed. I mean, he is not a good businessman. And being a businessman doesn't necessarily make you a good president. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that we have one person who has shown themselves to be a man of integrity, or at least trying to be a man of integrity. Biden, look at how he handled the trial with his son Hunter. We have a man that has shown that he can't even spell integrity, let alone say integrity. And the truth is, if Donald Trump is elected president, all bets are off. This man will be able to do whatever he wants to do. And you need to ask yourself, what is his motive? Do you really think Donald Trump cares about Black people? He's never cared about Black people before. Do you really think he cares about your business? Or do you really think he cares about white America? Because he's been known to be associated with white supremacist groups, and we know about his father's history and his family history and links to the KKK. You need to take a hard, long look and contemplate this thing, because this man now has the power to do whatever he wants, and he could decide that he's not leaving. Like the Wolf of Wall Street, I'm not leaving. So there's a lot.
The Wolf of what? Where is that? The Wolf of who? What did you say?
You've never
The
seen
Wolf
the
of
Wolf
Wall
of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio about Wall Street, about the history of Wall?
Forgive me.
It's a great movie. It's not a movie. It's not a family movie. It's not a movie for kids, but it is an awesome movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is in it. He kind of mismanaged some things on Wall Street, and he was supposed to be fired, and he stands up in a famous scene and declares, "I'm not leaving. I'm not effing leaving." And everyone cheers, and then the show goes on. But my point is, Donald Trump may start a coup and decide that he's not going to leave. But what the Supreme Court has done is lining up Donald Trump to be able to implement his Project Plan 2025 and all those things, bringing back Jim Crow, taking away reproductive rights. Donald Trump is going to say whatever he needs to say right now to gain your favor. But we're going to see what really happens if, and that's a big if, he were to be elected. James, I've never been afraid of an election year. I've never been afraid for the future of this country. My passport just expired, and I'm about to renew it. Because the truth is, if orange hair or orange skin, as you like to call him, you're terrible. Donald Trump does. He looks like an Oompa Loompa with the tanning. But if that man becomes president of this country, I will likely become an expat, and I will leave the United States until.
Well, my thing is, before you pack your bags and give your bon voyages and all those other things, people, we can do something about this. Okay, yeah, it sounds completely far-fetched and horrible that we're at a point in our lives and in our country that, and it's no laughing matter, it is really sad. We have to pay attention to the people that we elect in office. I think it's a lot of wolf crying and wolf whistles and carrying on, because they know that the people of the United States are very much intelligent, and they're not ran by a certain group of people. Yeah, they have money and different things, but this is we the people have the power to stop this. We can stop this, and and I think that there's so much that's being thrown out, and so many things and suggestions, and people worry. I don't fear him. I'm not saying fear and trembling or anything like that. I know that at that level of government you can do some things, but we can do some things too. Register, find out where you vote, get your ID together so nobody will challenge. If the challenge do come, you will have your opportunity, Wisdom.
Yes. Start. I agree with you. Start now. This is going to be a bitter battle, between, and, if you thought that people were watching around the world when, Obama was ultimately elected president, wait until this year. I think the ratings are going to be through the roof. I think I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I don't believe I'm going to sleep that night at all. Because normally, I'm going to be honest with you, normally I'll watch for a little while, and then once I kind of see where it's going, I just go to sleep and then find out in the morning. But James, I'm worried. I know we joke and we kiki, but I am seriously worried. The district attorney's reply to Trump is due on July 24th. So again, we're going to continue following this story. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's team responded earlier this month stating that Trump's argument was without merit, but also that they did not oppose postponing the sentencing while Merchan decided Trump's motion. And again, that could very well be because of what one of our listeners said, that by postponing, they could set Trump up so that he wouldn't have enough time to appeal the decision if it was not favorable to him. And so we like James said, we have work. We have work to do. We really, really, really have work to do. At this point, I'm going to choose a democracy over an autocracy. There's no perfect president. People have said, oh, but Biden has done stuff too. He may have done some stuff, but I don't think he's done even a quarter of the things that we've seen Donald Trump do. What is Donald Trump capable of? What is Donald J. Trump capable of with absolute power? That's the question. That's what you need to be asking yourself. Do you trust Donald Trump with absolute power, given what this man has already done? Look at what he's been able to do. Some people don't want to call it an insurrection. Some of the Trumpers and Trump supporters don't want to call it an insurrection, what happened on January 6th. So then don't call it an insurrection, but acknowledge what happened. That hundreds of people were hurt. People lost their life. You had people cowering in offices in the White House, fearful. Windows were broken out. It was outrageous. I mean, it looked like something out of a movie. If you replay those scenes, it looks like AI. It's like, this can't be real. And here's the danger in what Donald Trump did. If we can have domestic terrorism in our country where our own people, when I say our own people, I'm talking about Americans. I'm not talking about race anymore. I'm talking about people who live in this country. Our own people can storm the White House. That would never happen in another country. That would never happen in Russia. It wouldn't happen in any African country, not Nigeria, not Ghana, not anywhere. It wouldn't happen in throughout Asia and Japan and China. In what country can you have the people storm the Capitol building and get away with it? In what country? No country but ours. And what that shows to the outside world is that we're vulnerable. And what it shows, if Donald Trump is capable of doing that, what is he capable of having absolute power? Is he going to throw a fit one day and press the button or demand that? Because I don't think he can have the nuclear codes, but I don't think he can activate it by himself. But what is the man capable of with absolute power? We've only seen what this man can do with just the limited power that he has. His wish list, he said it, was to increase presidential power. And after he published Project 2025, his wish list, he got it. He got one of the things on that list. The Supreme Court, his BFFs, gave it to him in a 6-3 room. I'm nervous.
Well, don't be nervous, Wisdom. It's going to be all right. We're going to work it out. I believe, like I said, once again, in the American people, I believe that we're going to come up and step up, and we're going to make the right decisions that we have. Listen, I got just a quick announcement before Wisdom takes us off. I want to say thank you to all of you that supported Twintopia. We're going to get a report from them on next week about the progress that has been made. I got a couple of messages of saying thank you, to tell everybody thank you for the contributions and the things that you did. Thank you to all of our listeners on YouTube and on 92.7 WKRA. Thank you, Wisdom, for what you've done. It's good to have you back in the chair and everything. And I don't fret now. Don't get mad. And I'm not going to talk about your judge no more. Nothing like that, though. But I'm going to be all right. We're going to be fine. And we got to, and don't tell them people to, they can read it at night if they want to. It give me the willies every time I read sections of it, but it opens up my mind to see the psyche of people that will do anything to disrupt and to tear down our democracy. All I know is democracy. All I know is the freedoms that I have, the few that they're giving to us and they're not taking away. So that's all I wanted to say before you take us out of here, Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've all enjoyed the show. If you have, make sure that you go on YouTube, that you like the video, that you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you. We'll be back next week, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's where you will find us. We hope everyone has a blessed and wonderful weekend. Until we meet again, stay blessed. You're listening to The Morning Takeover with Wisdom's Daughter and JamesMc on 92.7 WKRA FM, your station for information and inspiration. Breaking news, current events, and trending stories on The Morning Takeover at 9.